So welcome to the Career Advancement Masterclass. And this is about how to stand out and accelerate your career. And our center of focus is going to be why qualified professionals fail to get shortlisted for interviews and how to fix that. Essentially, this targets professionals in especially graduates and also those who are in the middle and middle-level management, as well as young professionals who have just joined the profession, and also those who want to transition their careers. For instance, if you are in one sector and you want to transition, how do you work around that? So in terms of job search, and especially applications for roles that have been advertised, people or applicants are not rejected because they lack qualifications. I hope my slides are moving because I'm in slide 2. Please confirm.
Yes, we are there.
Yes, so yeah, basically how to stand out, get shortlisted for interviews, and also accelerate your career. So that is what we are going to focus on in this webinar. And as I said earlier, I hope that this will benefit you as professionals. The career reality is that the biggest career problem today is not lack of qualifications. We have many graduates, we have people with papers, and we have people with skill sets that could benefit employers. But we are also in a competitive world where there are many qualified professionals out here who are looking for similar opportunities. So how do you put yourself above the crowd? It is a lack of professional positioning, and this is what we are going to focus on in our presentation. How do you position yourself professionally to be able to attract the attention and also retain interest of the recruiters? Every day, thousands of qualified professionals graduate from colleges and universities. They gain experience and certifications and work hard. Yet many applicants for job openings never get invited for interviews, even when they do. So it's not because they are not capable, but because employers never clearly see the value they will bring on board if hired. And so they get rejected at the very basic stage in the recruitment process. The problem is rarely qualifications, and this is what we are going to repeat here until it sticks. I have a certificate, I have a diploma, I have other short courses that I have done, perhaps which are also relevant. But beyond just presenting the title, what is it that you as an individual is going to add value to the employer? Oftentimes, candidates fail shortlisting process because they submit generic CVs. They applied with a job last year with the same CV. They keep on, recycling the same CV over and over again until it becomes stale. They have weak achievement statements in their CVs. More often, they only give a lot of latitude to role descriptions for the positions they have held before. I've seen CVs where a whole page is dedicated to roles and responsibilities for a particular role. That is not going to sell you. That is not going to position you. That's not how we position people. And this is basically what we are going to train today in this webinar. There is also the aspect of poor LinkedIn profile. Actually, these days, when you apply for any role, employers would even ask you to include your LinkedIn profile. Where they don't, they will still search for you on LinkedIn. And what will they get? Is it the same communication that you have presented in your CV, or these are totally different people? So you might have a very good CV done by a professional, but you missed out on updating your LinkedIn profile. When the employer goes there, because that's a professional network platform, they will find that you have not communicated who you truly are as a professional. And so they feel that these two are different individuals, yet you are one. There is also a lack of professional visibility, especially in social media and including LinkedIn. When you go to Facebook, these days employers also check Facebook. What are you posting there? You've had especially if you apply for government roles. There are certain sensitive roles that require NSIS, National Security Intelligence Service, to actually do background search. Part of the role that NSIS does is to look for you on all social media platforms to see what is it that you're posting. So if there is anything offensive to the powers that be or to the organization that you have applied for, then that of course will work against you. There is also the lack of application strategy. Why are you applying for that job? Or is it because you are desperate for a salary? There has to be a strategy. Which type of organizations are you looking for to work for? Or is it just any other, so long as there is a role there that is relevant for you? I think that is something that applicants need to really reflect on, because sometimes you might land in the sea and find yourself swimming towards the uncharted waters. There is also failure to communicate measurable value. The details that you've presented in your CV, what do they communicate? What do they communicate? Do they represent you as somebody who's going to add value to the prospective employer? Or they're just communicating that you're just an ordinary employee? Once given a JD, then you will just sit around, idle around, without any particular interest on productivity. And you do not pay attention to tracking your deliverables. There is also what we call the weak personal brand. Personal branding is very key, and we are also going to discuss how you can do this here. So in the final analysis, qualifications may get you considered, but positioning gets you shortlisted. That is how it is, as simple as that. So these days, recruitment has changed. Several decades ago, or a few decades ago, recruiters were actually looking for employees in universities, colleges, or through chiefs. But these days, applicants actually compete for the few opportunities that are there. So they say that the labor market is crowded. Everybody is looking for a job. And almost everyone has the same qualification. Technology has also transformed recruitment, such that these days a lot of processes have been automated. A candidate would basically interact with a human from the other end at the tail end of the recruitment process. There is the applicant tracking system that is there. AI is also taking shape across most of organizations, and they are actually using AI tools to be able to process applications. So if you do not put up a very good and solid profile in your application, then you will get sidelined in the process of recruitment. There is also the LinkedIn Recruiter channel that is also helping employers to actually attract candidates through headhunting. There is also online job portals. There is digital screening that is done, and also skills-based recruitment. So if somebody is looking for an engineer, they're looking for an engineer with particular skill sets. Somebody is looking for an IT, they're looking for an IT with particular skill sets, not just the basic qualification, because virtually hundreds of thousands or thousands of candidates may be having the same qualification. If it is degree in education, we have thousands of teachers out here. But a particular school might be looking for a teacher with an additional skill set in terms of curriculum delivery. So success in job search now depends on more than qualifications. It's beyond just the basic academic orientation or paper certification. If you don't change the process of how you apply for jobs, then you will actually get frustrated in the process. So what happens when you submit an application? It goes into an ATS system for those organizations which uses that, and actually most of them do, because thousands of applicants come in. You can't do that screening from a human point of view. Others are using AI tools to be able to process applications. And there is the recruiter review stage. Once the ATS or AI has actually screened and identified a given number of applicants that meet the minimum criteria, the recruiter sits in a committee to actually do the review and do the shortlisting before they invite candidates for interview. So it's a whole process. It's a whole process that sometimes some candidates do not understand. Most employers use ATS. In the US, they say almost 90% of companies actually do recruitment through using AI tools. Your CV is often evaluated by software before it is read by a human. And AI goes beyond traditional ATS to understand context. They also rank candidates based on specific skills and relevant experience. So this process is very important as an applicant to be able to understand. Teddy, you can be checking your screen if there are any participants who want to be let in. Applicants are advised, and here we do, that you think like a recruiter. This is like business. Recruiters will ask whether you can do the job. They will look at the skill sets. Have you done it before? That is what they will look at in terms of experience. So oftentimes when we do applications, we overlook this second question. What we want to cloud the attention of the recruiter with are basically our own experiences, which are not aligned with what the recruiter has actually put out there in the advert that they are looking for. And so what do you end up with? You end up with inconsistent listing of experiences to every recruiter that you're applying for. Can the recruiter trust you to deliver based on your experience and past performance? So they'll be looking at results from your previous roles. And this is where most candidates fail, because what we have in our CVs, well, what I've seen across most of the CVs that I've handled, is that we list roles and responsibilities, give them a lot of space, almost like a full page for particular roles depending on the cadre, but hardly no quantifiable achievements. It doesn't show that you are a productive employee. It just shows that you're a passive consumer or participant in a particular workspace. So your CV should be able to answer these three questions within the first 5 to 10 seconds. If you don't retain the attention of the recruiter within the first 10 seconds, then you are out of this business. A quick assessment, and you can actually post there on chat. How many job applications have you submitted during the past 6 months, so to speak? You can say 1 to 5, you can say 6 to 15, 16 to 30, or more than 30. Just post on the chat there. We will be able to pick the chatbot and be able to see what are we talking about. So in the past 6 months, that means from January or from February, how many job opportunities have you responded? Just give the number. But as you do that, think about this. How many interviews have you been invited to as a result of your application? Are they really forthcoming? You know, sometimes as applicants, we sit back and say, hey, this thing was not genuine. These guys were using this recruitment process as a by the way, but they already have an internal candidate somewhere seated, waiting for to report. That happens a lot, especially when you miss out of the opportunity because of lack of professional positioning. So interviews, accessibility to interviews are a signal. If you rarely get interviews, your problem is usually before the interview. So that means you need to look at your CV. It could be your LinkedIn profile has not sold you well. I remember in particular instances, I think 2 years ago, I applied for a role. And as I was waiting for feedback, I found somebody within the same organization I applied for have viewed my profile on LinkedIn. And they did not leave any message. I think those days I had not updated my LinkedIn profile or optimized it to the level where it is now. So you realize that perhaps what I presented in my CV was not actually a true reflection of who I am in the professional platform, LinkedIn. So it's a question of positioning. How did you position yourself as a candidate for that particular role? Or did you think that there will be favors if you mentioned that perhaps you've worked with government in County A and you are applying for another government role in County B, therefore, based on that fact, that you'll easily be considered? There is the element of visibility. Are you visible? If somebody mentions your name, what will people say? So if you get interviews but rarely get offers for those jobs, your challenge is likely interviewing skills. You are given an opportunity but you didn't impress. In terms of response, you perhaps did not give specifics when asked, or you evaded questions, or you communicated that you are evasive in your response to questions and responsibilities. You did not communicate articulately. It means that you lack coherence, and therefore they could not trust you with outputs. It means perhaps you displayed a lack of confidence. Or perhaps you failed at the negotiation for salary and package. That's also something that can happen. I've seen candidates who say that when asked about their salary scale or expectation, then they say, just give me what you have. Others say that, no, for me, I'm coming here and salary is not my concern. Okay? Just give me what you have. I will take it and I will be comfortable. I think that is dishonesty. You are invited to the negotiation table based on your qualification. What is it that you expect to be paid as compensation for the effort that you'll be putting in the organization?
We are losing you, Kenneth.
Okay.
We are losing you. My network.
So, as a candidate or as a prospective applicant, where do you think you're struggling based on the two scenarios I've given? Could you be having an issue with your LinkedIn profile or CV or positioning? You could be having an updated CV, but does it position you for the role that you're looking for? That's the big question. Or do you have a problem with visibility? Okay, but if all part A is okay, could you be having an issue with interviewing skills or communication? You have a lot of failures when you communicate. Or is it a lack of confidence? Such that when you are given an opportunity, you sweat profusely and sometimes you stammer, even when you are not a stammerer. I think those are things that we need to reflect on. The stage where you struggle tells you where you need improvement. So what you will learn in this session, we are now getting into the thick of it. Those were just preliminary to put you in the mood. So by the end of this masterclass, you'll be able to understand why qualified professionals remain invisible. Position yourself strategically for opportunities. We're in a very competitive world and positioning is very key. Professionals who don't understand this will keep on struggling. You will be able to understand how to build an ATS-friendly CV, write compelling achievement statements, optimize your LinkedIn profile, and use AI responsibly to improve job search documents. So you'll, at the end of the day, with all this, you'll be able to package yourself and submit a very strong application for any role that you are going to consider. So our age positioning framework is that you need to evaluate yourself. And we say here, self-awareness is very key. Do you understand your strengths? Do you know your achievements from past roles and even current? Or are you struggling to even quantify what you've done and the efforts that you've been able to make and the results that you realized in your previous roles? What are the values that you're bringing on? Somebody say, what are you bringing on the table? Okay? Then do you know your career direction? I think what I've seen is because of desperation, professionals, and especially the young ones, we want to go for any role that is vacant because all we are looking for is a paid job. And then we end up with a pharmacist being a bank teller. They work there for 20 years. And then when they are retrenched, they don't know where to start. And actually, you can't fit in. Or you have a teacher who graduated, never registered with TSC, but went to become a banker. And then when they're retrenched, the only option they have is perhaps to go back to their profession, and they can't. It's too late. So career direction is very important because then it will guide you on which roles you actually need to go for. Differentiate yourself. Build a compelling professional brand that sets you apart. You need to get visible. Use your CV, LinkedIn profile, networking, and personal brand to become discoverable by recruiters. And then you need to keep learning, adapting, and growing throughout your career. I think this E is an area where especially young professionals need to understand. And you do not need to keep learning in terms of acquiring academic upgrades unnecessarily. I've seen young professionals who have graduated and within 3 years, they already have a master's in addition to their bachelor's, and they've never worked anywhere. That will definitely work against you. I saw in social media, somebody posted that one of the problems that Africa needs to deal with is the acquisition of these masters and PhDs. Because you see a candidate getting a PhD with a thesis that should actually be done at certificate level, but they have a PhD. So ultimately, if you are considered among competitive equals, then you are not going to pass that test because you have not gone through a rigorous academic process to actually earn a PhD certification. But by and large, professionals are encouraged to keep learning, keep improving themselves strategically, something that aligns with your career direction. Something that will build your skills portfolio in a particular direction. That is what will earn you opportunities in your workplace and in your career. And actually, they will help you earn more. So beyond just the papers that we have, what additional skill sets are we bringing on board? What is it that you're bringing? Apart, you could be having a degree in social work. You could be having a degree in medicine. But are there additional skill sets that you have acquired in the process that helps you give more value to your employer? So career success is not an event, it is a process of intentional positioning. So that is what we want to look at in the subsequent slides. Perhaps if there are any questions at this point, I can pick a few. Or we can post them on the chat as we move along, and then Teddy, you will remind me which questions we need to respond to. So what is professional positioning? Professional positioning is the intentional process of communicating your value so that the right opportunities can find you and choose you. I think I can repeat that. And I can underline. Professional positioning is the intentional process of communicating your value so that the right opportunities can find you and choose you. It's not about pretending to be someone else. It is about making your true value visible to recruiters and anyone who is interested. So it should be able to answer, who are you as a professional? What problems can you solve in a workplace or in a project or in an organization? Why should an employer choose you? What evidence proves your value? Okay? What evidence proves your value? That's a very poignant statement. How employers make hiring decisions. Employers do not recruit qualifications, they recruit solutions and solution providers. So are you a solution in the process of applying for that role? Every vacancy exists because an employer wants to solve one or more problems. And we've given examples there. So your CV should be able to communicate the problem you solve, not simply the task you performed. I would rather have 5 bullets of achievements in a particular role than have 10 roles and 10 bullets of roles and responsibilities. And that is what we do at EdgePoint, that we help candidates to really understand the difference that this communicates in terms of their recruitment. So the recruiter's decision funnel, what determines who moves down the funnel? So you start with 300 applications. Through screening, using ATS or other requirements, we have 40 shortlisted. Recruiters will review, and then they will review 15, and then they will shortlist 6. Ultimately, there will be 1 job offer. Look at how the numbers have gone down. From a pool of 300, we have ended up with 1. Does your positioning actually elevate you to that level such that you can be able to, in a pool of 300, be able to reach number 1? What guides that is basically your understanding that you need to align your application to reflect the relevant keywords that the recruiter has actually put out there. They could be in their websites, they could be in their annual reports, in terms of values, they could be in their mission statement, or they could be in the job description that you are responding to. But sometimes when we do applications, we do not take our time to actually understand the employer. All we have is a job advert and we limit ourselves to that. They've given you a 2-page job advert and you want to respond based on that without going into their website, without going into their social media accounts to actually see what they are posting and decipher where they could be having a problem. Strong achievement statements also help. Professional formatting of a document. This is very key. Formatting here is very key. What type of font are you using? What type of layout have you adopted for your CV? Are headlines uniform? Do you have uniform bulleting for the roles and achievements, and also for the education background? How have you listed them? Clear value proposition. This is very key. What value are you bringing on board? Unaleta nini kwa meza? That's very key. And then evidence of impact of your efforts. You'll allow me to check again the Are we together? Or you lost me? Okay. Let me see. I can see some two guests.
It's visible.
All right. So before we stop, we were on this screen, and I think we have concluded that the professional visibility pyramid, and most professionals stop at competence. For instance, you went into college, you got a diploma, or you have a certification, or you have a master's, or you have a bachelor's degree, and you stop at that. After acquiring that certification, you now need to work on the second level, personal brand. Who are you in terms of the aura, the professionalism, and also what people can say about you? Okay? So a lot of, we've seen most professionals actually end up just retiring at level 1, and that is very basic. And that is why we get stagnated in our professional roles. We get stagnated because we felt that having a certificate in, Bachelor of Journalism or Bachelor of Education or Bachelor of Science in a particular field, then that's enough. We never bothered to actually package ourselves. The third level is professional network. Who are you connected to? Who do you talk to in your professional field? Who is your mentor, for instance? Who do you look up to? Who do you consult beyond your workspace? So having a professional network is also something very key, because these are the people who will actually represent your brand when you are not in the room. Professional reputation. Reputation is about how you carry yourself and how others perceive you. So who is that? Then there are those career opportunities that are available, so that you don't get stagnated, that when you graduated with a bachelor's in journalism and you got recruited into a radio station as a broadcaster, then you end there. No, you can become a state house spokesman. You don't have to really end up retiring as a broadcaster. Okay? If you trained as a teacher, you don't have to retire as a classroom teacher. There are career opportunities that are available for teachers, though you don't limit yourself. They say that you can go far to the extent of your mental orientation. So what you think is what you are. If you think that your opportunities are limited, then indeed they will be limited. But if you think that the sky is not the limit, then of course you'll find yourself beyond that. How do you differentiate yourself? If 10 people with similar qualifications apply for one job, why should the recruiter remember you in particular? So you differentiate yourself through measurable achievements, professional reputation, specialized skills, strong communication, personal branding, and continuous learning. There are things that we do and achieve in our workspaces that we rarely document in our CV. I've worked on CVs for auditors, for teachers, for journalists, and what I've seen, because when we engage them to be able to actually unpack who they are, we realize there are small things that are very profound when you bring them to the level of CV, but they ignored them. So you realize that you remain just basic, just ordinary stuff. Yet you have a lot of things that can actually elevate you to the level beyond where you are currently. So these specialized skills, achievements, measurable achievements are very key, but we rarely document them. There is a difference between having a generic result and having a result that you can actually reference in a particular period of time. Generic results have no periods indicated. they do not also speak so strongly about the context. Those are generic statements. You can actually get them through AI. And employers actually who are using these AI systems can be able to track that. So it's very important for professionals to take keen interest in actually documenting their achievements. I've reviewed a CV of a teacher, a very senior teacher, and I realized that 10 years down the line, the CV was missing even performance in the subjects that they lead. And so I asked him, which subject? This subject is what you've been teaching all along, and you are actually specialized in it. What is your class performance over the years? And what is your position either at county, school level, or at national level in terms of performance? What did your class achieve in particular point in time? And then we ended up developing a table based on that. Measurable achievements. It can actually sell you, especially if you're a teacher looking for roles outside the country, okay? Or in private institutions that pay well, like Brighton, like McKinney, or something like that. So it depends. But personal branding and strong communication and also continuous learning, don't just retire with the basic qualification that you had 5 years ago. I usually say that if within 5 years, there is no additional qualification that you are bringing on board, then you are actually heading towards redundancy. So this is what professionals need to actually pay keen attention to. And you don't need to actually rush to get masters if you have a bachelor's degree. Yeah, you don't have to rush to get a PhD if you have a master's degree. No. There are things that can actually make you a specialist in your field beyond just the academics. Yeah. So personal branding, what is it? We've talked a lot about it, but perhaps I can remind those who know, but I can also unpack it for those who are new to it. Personal branding is the intentional process of communicating your unique value, skills, and professional reputation so that you stand out and are remembered for the right reasons. If you read Chinua Achebe, the way he talks about Okonkwo, there is a way he introduced Okonkwo in a manner that actually communicates a very solid personal brand. You can reference that. You can even Google it. Okay? Your personal brand is your professional reputation. What people think of when they hear your name. For instance, if you are Judy, what do people hear? What do people say about you? Clement, for instance, what do people know about you? How can they describe you in 5 words or 2 words, even when you are not there? When your name is mentioned, where you are not present, what will people say? Will they say, oh, that one? No. Or they will say, oh yeah, I was forgetting, that is the right guy. Okay? So that's a brand. It is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And you can look at big brands, big personal brands that we have in the country. One of them is my role model, the former KCB CEO, Dr. Martin Oduor-Otieno. That's my role model. And he has a brand. Actually, organizations and companies are actually looking for him to just be a member of a board. You know, that's reputation. The other one is, of course, the current Jubilee CEO. The current Jubilee CEO, anaitwa nani. He used to be the CEO of KWS. He's also a personal brand. He also has a very strong personal brand that we can talk about. We also have Michael Joseph, the former Safaricom. Actually, people know Michael Joseph and Safaricom are actually synonymous. That's a brand. That's a brand. So it is what people say about you when you are not in the room. If you don't define your personal brand, other people will define it for you. And guess what? It won't be to the direction that you had intended. So take advantage and define your brand. So what is the value proposition? The formula is very simple, but also could be a little complicated. But for purposes of learning, and for those of us who like mathematics, skills that you have, plus experience, plus the results from your previous roles, plus the potential that you present, actually equates to the value that you're bringing on the table. It is that simple. So when you are applying for a role, employer will be looking at, okay, do you have the requisite skills that we are looking for? If they're looking for a data analyst, they're looking for they're looking for a community mobilizer, for instance, or they're looking for a facilitator for a particular ABI. Do you have the requisite skills? Then beyond that, you will not just say, oh, last week I participated in a workshop and I was trained in this particular skill you're looking for. Okay. Do you have the experience? Have you ever done it before? Okay? Such that when you get this role, you'll actually run with it. And what were the results? What were the results? So oftentimes, we find applicants fail to communicate the results of their previous roles. And this is very key because we tend to submit reports, we tend to participate in meetings, we tend to participate in workshops, we even train a cadre of staff. Sometimes we even do performance coaching and realize that a staff has actually moved from a dissatisfied employee, a lethargic employee, to one of the very best in the department. But you rarely capture that story. Results. And how do you communicate it? Of course, the three will communicate a potential that you have. So if we hire you, for instance, you worked in Kitale, and there is this project that is coming up in Bungoma. It's still the same lawyer community. Of course, Kitale is cosmopolitan. But of course, you're within the same Western region or Rift Valley or something like that. Somebody will say, does this person actually have a potential to work here? Does this person actually have a potential to support our organization to actually solve this problem through this role? That consolidated communicates your value. So we have 7 positioning mistakes that professionals make, and I want to just remind you, I know you know this, but I think I've put it here so that it remains indelible in your minds. Using one CV for every job is a no-go zone. Avoid that. And particularly, I've seen people, there are those professions where once you get employed, and one of them is the police, the other one is teachers, the other one is provincial administration. Once people get employed in those roles, they abandon the updating their CVs because they are on permanent and pensionable. What they are working towards is earning credits for promotion. I've seen that because I've worked with DCCs who are actually looking for roles in parastatals. And you realize that the CV that you're presented with is actually a CV that was last done 15 years ago. So you start, it's like you're doing a research about this person when you're writing their CV. And we charge you a premium for neglecting yourself. Because you're also giving us a lot of space to be able to do more for you. Describing duties instead of achievements. Your CV is full of roles and responsibilities. I was a social worker. I was a manager. And some of those roles have like 30 or 40 bullets of roles and responsibilities, you want to pick almost all of them, or 75%. So you have a full page just having the role title and roles and responsibilities, the rest of the page. You are doing yourself a disservice. Ignoring LinkedIn. Whatever profession you have, LinkedIn is known globally as a professional platform. You must be there. But when you are there, it's not a question of just opening a page. What is it that your page is communicating? And what are you posting there? You're not going to LinkedIn to just like people's posts. No, you need to also engage as a professional. What are you posting? That's very key. Weak professional profile, no measurable results, you have no achievements, no quantifiable achievements whatsoever. If you have any, you will be talking about improved, increased, but there are no quantifiable results. That's a red flag. That's a red flag. And somebody would actually say that that's generic. You must be able to provide contextualized results in your achievements. Applying randomly instead of strategically. And I've said, when you're applying for a job, what is your motivation? Is it just to escape a situation of desperation? To just get salary? You need to think about what particular roles align with your personality, what particular roles align with your profession, what particular organizations will actually give you the right environment. That's very key. You might get a CEO role in an organization and then you are left wondering, what the hell is this? Because perhaps you also did not do a lot of research when you are applying for that particular role. So if you are invisible, you become replaceable. I want us to take a break there. Kidogo, let me also check again.
Yes, you should be actually checking because I'm having a lot of DMs. People are asking me why am I not joining?
Okay.
Nothing allowed.
Yeah, I've admitted all.
So many DMs.
Please mute your mic.
If you join,
Please mute your mic, Edwin. Edwin, please mute your mic. Okay, I've muted him. I hope no one is complaining. Yeah. We are there?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So we were talking about 7 positioning mistakes that professionals make, and one of them is using one CV for every job, generic CVs. Describing duties instead of achievements, and ignoring LinkedIn profiles. So if you are a professional and you're participating in this, please, after this, check your LinkedIn profile. Is it optimized to actually give you optimal representation for recruiters? There is weak professional profile, no measurable results, and applying randomly instead of strategically. So waiting for opportunities instead of creating visibility. So if you are invisible, you become replaceable. So that's the last slide before we add the interruptions. So weak CVs don't show your value. Many professionals write statements like responsible for project implementation, managed customer relations, prepared reports, supported business growth. That's what I said. These are, anybody can write these statements. But what is it that is specific to Joshua? What is it that is specific to Joyce, for instance? Okay, that communicates your differentiation as a productive employee. Because this is generic and you can see it. There is no context, there is no quantifiable result. Recruiters immediately ask, so what changed? You manage customer relationships, so what? What difference did you make? What improved? A strong CV answers these questions before recruiters ask. So think like a business, not an employee, when you are making job applications. So instead of what were my duties, think of what value did I create in my past employment. Instead of I manage project activities, okay, you can say something like I led implementation of a donor-funded project that achieved blah, 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 blah. And you can even give specific context, geographical context. And even add time frame, like in a particular year, okay? You can even say that you supported a collaborative rapid results initiative that was led by, for instance, World Bank, or that was led by AMREF, and we were able to do ABCD in county ABCD, okay, over a period of 6 months. Now, that speaks louder than just say, I managed RRI activities. So instead of saying, I handled customer complaints, you can say something like, I resolved customer complaints, improved satisfaction, and strengthening client retention. And you can add context. Because again, this is only a pointer, but you need to beef it up to give results, quantifiable results, and also to add specifics that differentiates what you are saying from what somebody else would say under the same circumstance. So our 8 career positioning framework is this. Number 1, evaluate yourself. You need to know your strengths. You need to know your achievements from the roles that you've held before. And you need to know the value that you are bringing. And I remind you that in a previous slide, we actually talked about value proposition formula that I can bring back so that we understand this in context. And the value that the employer is looking for is whether you have the requisite skills that they're looking for. Do you have the experience? Do you have quantifiable results? And do you have potential to be able to perform in that role under similar circumstances? That's your value. Differentiate yourself. Develop a unique value proposition supported by evidence. And that's what I've essentially said. That you just don't need to bring statements for the sake of it. You have to provide context, you have to provide results. Get visible. Build an ATS-friendly CV. Many people talk about this, but hardly do they know what it really means to have an ATS-friendly CV. And I've seen people rushing to the cybers, cafes, to be prepared for CVs under the guise of, make it ATS-friendly. Some of those cyber guys are actually just out to earn money in a day, and they hardly give it the depth that you are looking for in terms of professionalism. Optimize your LinkedIn, network intentionally, and showcase your expertise. Then the E, excel continuously. Keep learning, measuring your impact, and building your professional reputation. That's very key as a professional. Be careful how you dress. Be careful what hairstyle you're having. Be careful the type of shoes you are wearing, depending on your profession. Be careful the type of fresheners that you're using, like the deodorants that you're using as a professional. Okay? That talks about your professional reputation. But above all, always remember that apart from just having your certificate, academic certificate, there are a lot of things that employers are looking for out here. Okay? If you are a teacher and you have a bachelor's degree in a particular education field, TSC has developed career development, courses that they encourage teachers to go for. And actually those add on to what you need to progress to the next level. even though promotions in teaching is actually being compromised by the system. But of course, you can still utilize those to actually get gigs outside the classroom. Yeah. So, what is a winning CV? That's what we want to look at going forward. And I will pause there. If there is any question, we can actually have a brief discussion before I continue. As I sip water, is there anything on the chat box?
So far, there's.
Okay. We will continue. I want to talk about building a winning CV. I can see time is not on our side. We started a little late.
But we are open to receive.
Yeah, please just throw in your chat there. Your CV is not your biography. Your CV is not your biography. I think I can repeat that. It is your marketing document. Martin Yale, in a book that he wrote in 2011, actually talked about this. He is actually the person who made me understand that I need to give a lot of provenance to the document that I present to employers as a CV. When I bought that book, I did not just buy a title, even though it was 1,500 shillings. Yeah, but I bought it because I saw a sneak preview of the table of contents and I said, this is it. I will do my CV alone. And from there, I think it changed me. So a professional CV must answer one question. Why should we interview you? A winning CV does not try to tell you your entire life story. I've seen, especially young professionals, we say, I was born on 22nd June 2002. I am single. I am a Christian. You know, I blah, 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 blah. You have a career objective. You don't have a skill section. Then you go straight, I was employed in area, blah, blah, blah. You proceed like that until you reach referees. It is a very flat CV. A winning CV does not try to tell your entire life story. It strategically presents the information most relevant to the position you are applying for. And I will underline that word, most relevant to the position you are applying for. There was a time a few years ago, I was talking to a professional, somebody who had almost 25 years experience. And this guy wanted to transition to a particular role that he did not have recent experience. So the CV was almost 7 pages. And you look at it, this guy has participated in almost every short workshop that you can think of. Be it TB, be it HIV, be it immunization, be it whatever it is, even community health promoter, every workshop that you can even take yours and paste in his CV and he will still accept that is what he participated in. So it doesn't actually contain all the information that you have. People need to be understanding that your CV must communicate strategically. Only the information that aligns with the expectation of the employer at that particular point in time. And that is why we encourage, you might have variations of CV depending on what employers you're looking for and what career objective or direction that you have. So your CV is not written to get you a job. I can repeat that word again. Your CV is not written to get you a job. That is why you hear people complain that I have an uncle who told me to send him my CV. You know, when somebody sends you your CV, if you are an aunt or an uncle, the immediate expectation is that you are going to use that CV to get them a job. Here we are telling you that's a dream. Your CV is written to earn you an interview. And if it doesn't communicate value, you will never land an interview. Unless somebody has opened a company somewhere and they want you there because they know you. Okay? But if you must walk into that door as a professional, then you have to give a lot of effort to the document that markets who you are. So the 10-second CV test, recruiters rarely read every word. They scan. And I've told you before that recruiters nowadays use ATS, and there is also a latest adoption of AI tools to actually scan CVs. They paste your CV there, and the AI will do the analysis. And if you don't pass the test, there it is. They will send you a regret. Within seconds, they look for professional headline. Do you have any? Don't allow recruiters to guess who you are as a professional. What is your profile statement? This is where most young graduates fail, because they come out of college with career objectives. They don't know who they are. Relevant experience, keywords, achievements, easy formatting. If these are missing in your CV, you will never get attention. So as you are listening to this presentation and knowing what you have, do you think your CV can survive a 10-second scan? Post it there. Maybe say yes or no. The 5 biggest CV mistakes that we see is that, and I will repeat this, using one CV for every job, listing duties instead of value, and using weak profile statements. Weak profile statements that do not actually communicate who you are and the value that you're bringing to an employer. Or just simply still having a career objective in your CV. Those are outdated sections of the CV. Ignoring ATS keywords. Do you even know how to design ATS keywords for your CV? Yeah? So let no one cheat you that they will be able to do that without expertise. Mistake number 5, poor formatting and organization. Your CV is disorganized. I have seen candidates who have done IT. I've seen candidates who have said that they participated in computer packages training. I've seen candidates who have said they are proficient in computer. Yet when you see their CV, and it is in Word document, poor layout, poor formatting. You have Times New Roman there as a font. You have something Aptos there. You have all manner of things. When you look at the first bullet in under a particular role for responsibility, the font is 12. You go down, you get that in another role, the first font is actually 11. Poor formatting and organization of your CV. What comes first and what comes last? Recruiters reject generic CVs because employers hire for specific problems. Pay attention to that. Your professional headline is very key. Most people simply write curriculum vitae on top of their CVs. This is wrong. Instead, tell employers who you are. Don't allow recruiters to guess your profession. Don't allow recruiters to guess your profession. I think I'll need that and get a different. We were here. So examples of professional headlines are things like finance and audit specialist, project management professional, communications and public relations officer, or professional, monitoring and evaluation specialist. You can also have procurement supply chain professional. You can also have registered clinical officer. You can also have software developer. But of course, there are numerous professional headlines that you can adopt, depending on your career and your professional standing. Never force recruiters to guess your profession. And if you have a career objective, you're missing out. Actually, that should be replaced by profile statement and a profile headline. So writing a powerful profile statement, a good profile answers 4 questions. Who are you? That's your title. How much experience do you have? How many years? And what are your strengths? What value do you bring? It must communicate your profession. It must have your title. Who are you? It must have years of experience. It must demonstrate your core expertise. And it must also provide results and the unique value that you're bringing to the employer based on what they are looking for, not what you're guessing. Not what you're guessing. ATS keywords. ATS search for keywords as captured in job advertisement. But also pay attention to doing research about the company you are applying for. They could be having some of these things in their website or in the annual reports or in their newsletters. If you have them in your document, then you stand a better chance of standing above the crowd. So it depends on the profession that you are in. Your CV should naturally include the same language used in the advertisement where it reflects your actual experience. So never stuff keywords. Don't just put words there for the sake of it. You see, like if you go to LinkedIn, LinkedIn has given you options about skills. I've seen people with almost 50 skills. You can't be a jack of all trades. If you want to communicate value, you must be a specialist in particular areas. You can't be a jack of all trades. Use them honestly and do not lie. Core competencies is a very key subsection in your CV. There are your searchable professional keywords: project management, budget, data analysis, video editing, training on capacity, risk management, all those things. Those are your core competencies. Duties do not sell you. And I will repeat, roles and responsibilities in your job description do not sell you. They already know what your job description was. They just want to know what you accomplished in those particular roles. And that is why I say, for me, I would rather give more space to achievements in my CV as opposed to roles and responsibilities. Achievement statements win interviews. Replace duties with evidence. Instead of saying manage projects, led implementation, I think we've talked about that. And you've seen, I've now added number of beneficiaries. You can also talk about timelines. You can also talk about specific geography or jurisdiction where this happened. Yeah. So the formula for writing this is, what is the action? What is the task? What is the result? And what was the impact? That is the formula that you can take home in terms of writing your achievement statements. You have to give work. You have to provide effort to be able to amplify your profile or to position yourself. This is now positioning. So the before and after, the 8-point difference, if you look at our approach, before, you could be having career objective. You could be having generic duties and responsibilities. You could be having weak skills section or generic, as I've seen some of the CVs have generic skill sets. No measurable achievements or results. Then there is little evidence of value that you're bringing on the table. After we do the improvements for you, you will be having a profile statement. You'll be having a targeted professional headline relevant for the job that you're applying for. You'll be having an ATS aligned core competencies, and you'll be having an achievement-based experience, strong professional branding, and quantifiable results. What is the lesson here? The difference is not decoration. No, the difference is in positioning. So this transformation mirrors the improvements we make for our clients, where stronger positioning replaces generic objectives and responsibilities with focused profiles, measurable achievements, and targeted expertise. So we have this section of education, professional membership, and referees. Under education, list highest qualification first or start with the latest. After several years of work experience, keep this section concise. If you've done 5, 10 years, 15 years in the field, and you still have the name of the primary school you went to, I think you need to walk into the tent so that we have a prayer session for you. Professional memberships include relevant memberships where applicable. For instance, you could be a member of ISPAC, you could be a member of Kenya Institute of Supplies Management or Engineers, you could be a member of Public Relations Society of Kenya. There are several professional bodies that you could be having. Are you a member of any? Or project management professionals like me, okay? Then referee section, only include them if requested. Due to Data Protection Act, I've seen many professionals and even people who I think should be understanding this Data Protection Act, they still list their referees with all details, email, phone number, their role, the organization where they're working. I hope you have expressed and documented consent to do that. If not, keep this private until the employer asks for the referee, and there is a stage where that happens. Then you can be able to request permission from your referees and present that information separately. Otherwise, in your CV, simply say available upon request. But you have to provide that section. Now, let's talk about the responsible use of AI. We are in the era of AI today. How do you use AI to enhance your CV or career documents? AI is your career assistant. It is not your replacement. It can help you tailor your CV to a specific job advert, but I want to remind you that not everyone understands how to use AI. Okay? There is what we call prompt engineering, and I did a webinar around that some few weeks ago. There is prompt engineering. If you do not know how to give instructions to AI, you'll end up with mistakes that will even put you in more shit than where you are. So improve grammar, clarity, and professional language. It can also help you write strong achievement statements. It can also draft personalized cover letters, but it can also optimize your LinkedIn profile. You can actually use AI to optimize these things, but only when you know what you're doing. Don't just jump there because it will mess you up. I've seen, if you're using AI, there is a tagline, Hapo chini, where they're giving you a warning that AI can make mistakes. Don't just copy-paste what they give you. You have to check for accuracy, you have to check for authenticity, and you have to humanize. So if you do not have the skills to do that, don't just jump into AI to use it for this professional landing. You'll actually expose yourself. We are talking about ethical use of AI. Use AI to improve wording and structure. Ask AI for feedback on your CV. You can actually compare your CV with a job description. You can actually brainstorm achievement statements based on your work, actual work, and you can actually practice interview questions and answers, but only if you understand what you are doing and if you ask AI the right questions. So what you should never do is invent qualifications or work experience. Don't invent these things. Please be factual. Be factual. I've seen some employers who actually do background checks. Sometimes you can land a job today, work 3 months, earn a salary even 6 months. Then later on, the employer realizes that you provided falsehoods in the process of recruitment. My friend, you'll be taken to court and you can actually refund those salaries. So do not invent what is not there. Exaggerate achievements or responsibilities, don't. Just use AI to enhance what is already there and what is factual, but not to invent what is not there. Copy AI generated content without reviewing it, that's a no. Do not submit a generic AI written CV for every job. You'll mess your career. So remember this, AI may get you an interview, but only your knowledge, integrity, and performance will get you the job. Please take that home. What are the key lessons that we've learned throughout this session? I think we are about to finish. Remember, your CV is a marketing tool. We said that, and you can reference this in authoritative sources. I told you I learned this almost 14 years ago when I bought my book on CV writing by Martin Yates. Employers recruit solutions, not qualifications. Achievements speak louder than responsibilities. Tailor your CV for every job application, and a master's degree will not save a poorly positioned career. In fact, I would rather you hide that master's if you have it and you are not yet there, rather than present it and then it becomes a barrier to your career progression. Position yourself strategically and let AI improve 20% of your documents wording, but ensure 80% of the ideas, experiences, and achievements come from you. You remember the 20-80 rule? Yeah. So the strongest CV does not tell recruiters what you did. It convinces them on what you can do for them. So if you need more than the review, at EdgePoint Solutions, we also provide CV, professional CV and cover letter writing. We just don't do this the way cybers do it. No, we take our time and we consult with you and we do our research. LinkedIn profile optimization, that we do. Personal branding, interview preparation, career positioning and coaching. We also do career transition and consultation. If you want to transition from, for instance, from teaching into research, we also do that consultation. If you want to transition from a particular field to another one, we can also sit down with you and discuss and explore possible opportunities with practical recommendations that you can undertake to be able to position yourself for your dream career. Don't just qualify, position yourself. Thank you.